The envelope was waiting when I got home. Plain, white, no return address. Someone had slid it under my apartment door while I was at work, and it sat there on the scuffed linoleum like a coiled snake. I should have known then. Should have felt the wrongness of it. But I was exhausted. My feet ached from a double shift at the diner. My back hurt from lifting trays. And all I wanted was to collapse on my second-hand couch and not think about tomorrow's early morning shift at the hospital cafeteria. 2 jobs weren't enough to cover Danny's medical bills, but they were all I had. I kicked off my shoes, dropped my bag, and picked up the envelope. It wasn't sealed. Inside was a single photograph. 4 by 6, printed on glossy paper, sharp and clear. It was me, walking out of St. Mary's Hospital 3 days ago, my hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing my blue jacket and carrying the canvas bag I took everywhere. The angle was from across the street, zoomed in enough that I could see the exhaustion on my face, the slump of my shoulders. Someone had been watching me. Someone had photographed me without my knowledge. My hands started shaking. The photograph slipped from my fingers and fluttered to the floor. I lived in a 4th-floor walk-up in a neighborhood where people minded their own business. The building had no doorman, no security cameras, locks that barely worked. I'd always felt anonymous here, invisible in the best possible way. Not anymore. I grabbed my phone with trembling fingers, ready to call 911, when I remembered the business card. It had been sitting in my wallet for 3 weeks, ever since that afternoon at the coffee shop near the hospital. I'd been in line behind a man in an expensive suit when I noticed the kid couldn't have been more than 19, sliding his hand toward the man's jacket pocket. I didn't think. Just stepped forward and grabbed the kid's wrist. "Don't," I'd said quietly. The kid had jerked away and bolted. The man had turned, dark eyes sharp and assessing, and I'd realized 2 things simultaneously. He'd known exactly what was happening, and he was the most magnetically dangerous person I'd ever stood close to. "Thank you," he'd said, his voice deep and slightly accented. "Italian, maybe? Though unnecessary. You're welcome anyway." He'd studied me for a long moment, then pulled out a business card. "Heavy stock. Expensive. Just a name. Luca Moretti, and a phone number. If you ever need anything," he'd said. I'd taken it to be polite, assuming I'd never use it. Rich men didn't actually mean those offers. They just liked feeling magnanimous. But now, staring at the photograph on my floor, I pulled out that card. My finger hovered over the number. This was insane. I didn't know this man. Didn't know anything about him except that he wore suits that cost more than my car and had eyes that saw everything. But someone was watching me, and I was terrified. I dialed. He answered on the second ring. "Emma, not a question." He knew who was calling. "How did you—" I stopped. It didn't matter. "I need help." What happened? All business now, sharp and focused. Someone left a photograph under my door. Of me. From 3 days ago. My voice cracked. Someone's been following me. Silence. Then, in a tone that made ice slide down my spine, "Where are you right now?" "Home. My apartment. Address." I gave it to him. My brain screaming that this was stupid, dangerous, letting a stranger know where I lived. But what choice did I have? "Pack a bag," Luca said, his voice gone cold and deadly calm. "You have 20 minutes. You're not staying there tonight." Wait, I can't just— Emma, the way he said my name stopped me. This isn't a request. Whatever this is, you're not safe there. I'm sending people to get you. 20 minutes. I don't understand. Why would anyone— He cut me off. "We'll talk when you're secure, Pack." Now, the line went dead. I stood frozen in my tiny apartment, the photograph on the floor, my phone hot in my hand. Every instinct screamed that I should call the police. Not trust some man I'd met once in a coffee shop. But something in Luca's voice had been absolutely certain. And beneath the command, I'd heard something else. Recognition. Like he knew exactly what this photograph meant. Like he'd been expecting something like this. My hands were still shaking as I pulled my duffel bag from the closet and started throwing clothes into it. Jeans, shirts, underwear, my toothbrush, the photo of Danny from his 10th birthday before he got sick. Danny. Oh, God. Danny was at the hospital for his evening treatment. Was he safe? Did I need to? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your brother is secure. 2 of my men are outside his room. He's safe. Focus on packing. I stared at the message. Luca had already sent people to protect Danny. Had already known I'd worry. Had already moved pieces on a chessboard I didn't even know I was standing on. Who was Luca Moretti? And why did someone taking my picture make him react like this was war? I zipped the duffel just as I heard footsteps in the hallway. Heavy. Multiple people. A knock. Polite but firm. Miss Chun, Mr. Moretti sent us. I looked through the peephole. 2 men in dark suits, earpieces visible, professional and terrifying. This was real. This was happening. I opened the door. The taller one nodded. Ma'am, we need to leave now. Where are we going? His expression didn't change. Somewhere safe. I grabbed my bag, took one last look at my apartment, the home I'd scraped together, the independence I'd fought for, and stepped into the hallway. I didn't know it then, but I was already gone, already his. The SUV had tinted windows so dark I couldn't see outside. I sat in the back seat between 2 silent men in dark suits, my duffel bag clutched on my lap. Neither had spoken beyond introducing themselves as Marco and Vincent. The drive felt endless, moving through the city from my rundown neighborhood through increasingly expensive streets. We finally pulled into an underground garage beneath a glass and steel tower that seemed to scrape the clouds. Security gates, cameras everywhere, guards who nodded at my escorts like old friends. The private elevator required a keycard and fingerprint scan. My stomach dropped as we rose higher and higher. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that didn't seem real. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city. Polished hardwood floors. Modern furniture that probably cost more than I'd earn in a year. Art on the walls, real art, museum quality. And standing by those massive windows, phone to his ears, speaking rapid Italian, was Luca Moretti. He'd shed the jacket from our coffee shop meeting. White shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle. He looked like money and power and danger wrapped in beautiful packaging. He glanced over, saw me, and ended his call abruptly. Emma, he crossed to me in long strides. Are you hurt? No, just confused and terrified. His dark eyes scanned me anyway, checking for himself. Then he dismissed Marco and Vincent with a sharp nod, leaving me alone with him. What's going on? I demanded. Why did someone take my picture? Why am I here? Because you're in danger. I got that part. Why? Luca's jaw tightened. Because of me. The admission hung between us. We met once, I said slowly. In a coffee shop. That's our entire history, is it? He stepped closer. I've had people watching you since that day, Emma. Making sure you are safe. My blood went cold. You've been having me followed. Protected. There's a difference. That's insane. You don't even know me. I know you worked 2 jobs to pay for your brother's leukemia treatments. I know you dropped out of college to care for him. I know you're exhausted and deserve better than grinding yourself down just to survive. His eyes held mine. I know enough. I couldn't breathe. You investigated me. I protected my interest. I'm not your anything. Something flickered in his expression. You're more than that, which is the problem. I took a step back. Who are you? Really? You haven't figured it out yet. His smile held no humor. Look around, Emma. The security. The power. People are afraid of me for good reason. The pieces clicked together in a way that made my stomach drop. Luca Moretti wasn't just wealthy. He was powerful in a way that had nothing to do with legitimate business. Your enemies, I whispered. They know you've been watching me. They think I matter to you, yes. And the photograph is a message. They're telling me they can reach you any time they want. His hands clenched into fists. which is why you're staying here until I resolve this. You can't just kidnap me. I have jobs. I have Danny to take care of. I have a life. Your jobs have been covered. Danny is under 24-hour protection at the hospital. The best security money can buy. He showed me a text confirming it. He's safer than he's ever been. I stared at the efficiency with which he'd dismantled my entire life. You can't just rearrange everything. I already did. He pocketed the phone. Until I neutralize this threat, you stay here, non-negotiable. And if I refuse? He stepped close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Then you die, Emma. Is that what you want? I want to have a choice. You do. Stay here alive, or leave, and become a target. His voice dropped, almost gentle. Please. Choose to stay. The please broke something in me. I looked around the penthouse, the luxury, the security, the gilded cage. How long? As long as it quietly. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He reached out slowly and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was unexpectedly tender. I know this is frightening. I know you don't trust me. But I will keep you safe. I promise. Why? I searched his face. Why do I matter to you? We're strangers. His thumb traced along my cheekbone. Not anymore. Then he stepped back, putting distance between us. Marco will show you to your room. There are clothes in the closet, in your size. The kitchen is fully stocked. Make yourself at home. This isn't my home. Something dark flashed in his eyes. Not yet. He walked toward his office, already making another call, leaving me standing in his penthouse with my duffel bag and my upended life. I didn't know it yet, but he was right. This wasn't my home. But it would be. I woke up in a bedroom larger than my entire apartment. For a moment I didn't remember where I was. Then it all came rushing back. The photograph, Luca's call, the penthouse fortress. I sat up in the massive bed, Egyptian cotton sheets sliding against my skin, and looked around. Whoever had prepared this room knew things about me they shouldn't. The books on the nightstand were art history texts I'd studied in college. The coffee maker on the dresser was the exact brand I used at home. And when I opened the walk-in closet, I found clothes in my exact size. Jeans, sweaters, dresses, casual and expensive. Luca had thought of everything, which only made me angrier. I showered in the marble bathroom, dressed in jeans and a soft cashmere sweater that probably cost a month's rent, and followed the smell of coffee to the kitchen. Luca sat at the breakfast bar, laptop open, phone in hand. He'd changed into a charcoal suit that fit him like a second skin. When he saw me, something in his expression softened. Coffee? He offered. I can get it myself. There's breakfast. My chef prepared. You have a chef. I have a lot of things. He gestured to the spread laid out on the counter. Fresh fruit, pastries, eggs, bacon. Enough food for 6 people. Please, eat. I poured coffee instead, wrapping my hands around the mug like armor. I need to see Danny. Not yet. That wasn't a request, Luca. His jaw tightened. It's not safe. He's 12 years old and sick and probably terrified, wondering where I am. I need to see him. I told the hospital you had a family emergency out of state. He thinks you're visiting a relative. You lied to my brother? I protected him from unnecessary fear. Luca closed his laptop. Emma, the people who sent that photograph are watching your routines. The hospital is one of your regular stops. If you show up there, you could lead them right to Danny. The logic was sound, which made it worse. So what am I supposed to do? Just hide here forever? Not forever. Just until I handle this. Handle it how? His eyes went cold. You don't want to know. I set down my coffee cup hard enough that it clattered. Don't do that. Don't treat me like I'm fragile. I'm stuck here because of your world. I deserve to know what that world is. Lucas studied me for a long moment. Then he stood and walked to the window, hands in his pockets, looking out over the city he apparently controlled. I run a family business, he said quietly. Import, export, real estate, investment. Most of it is legitimate. Some of it operates in grey areas. I have competitors who would like to see me fail, enemies who would like to see me dead. You're talking about the mafia. I'm talking about power and loyalty and doing what's necessary to protect what's mine. He turned to face me. I don't apologize for what I am, Emma, but I keep my violence away from innocence. You shouldn't have been touched by this, but I was. Because you decided to watch me? Yes, no apology in his voice. I saw you in that coffee shop, brave and kind and refusing my money like it offended you, and I wanted to know more. So I looked, and then I couldn't stop looking. The admission should have terrified me. Instead, something warm and dangerous bloomed in my chest. That's not normal, I said. I never claimed to be normal. He crossed back to me, stopping just close enough that I could smell his cologne. I claimed to be honest. And honestly, Emma, from the moment you grabbed that kid's wrist to protect a stranger, I was fascinated. Then I learned about Danny, about what you sacrificed for him, about how you work yourself to exhaustion without complaint. And fascination became something else. What? Obsession. The word was raw, unguarded. You've been in my head for 3 weeks. I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting to make your life easier, safer, better. Can't stop imagining what it would be like if you were mine. My breath caught. Luca, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression went hard. I need to take this. Make yourself at home. Anything you want, just ask Marco. He walked away before I could respond, already speaking in rapid Italian. I stood alone in his kitchen, surrounded by luxury I hadn't earned, trapped in a life I hadn't chosen. But I wasn't helpless. I pulled out my own phone and called the hospital. After some convincing, they let me talk to Danny, Emma. His voice was bright, innocent. When are you coming back? Soon, buddy, I promise. How are you feeling? Good. There are these really cool security guys outside my room. They showed me their earpieces. Are they because of you? My throat tightened. Yeah, I made some new friends who want to make sure you're safe. Cool friends with cool jobs. He paused. Are you okay? You sound weird. I'm fine. Just missing you. We talked for 10 more minutes about his treatments, his nurse who told terrible jokes, the book he was reading. Normal things, safe things. When I hung up, I found Luca watching me from the doorway. Feel better? He asked. A little. I met his eyes. But I can't live like this, Luca. Hiding. Afraid. Cut off from my brother. You won't have to. I'm handling it. How long? Days. Maybe a week. And then, to me, and this time when he reached out to touch my face, I didn't pull away. His palm was warm against my cheek, his thumb tracing my jawline with surprising gentleness. Then you decide, he said softly. Stay or go. Your choice. But know that if you stay, it won't be as my prisoner, Emma. It'll be because you want to be here. Why would I want that? His smile was dangerous and beautiful. Let me show you. 3 days in the penthouse, and I was learning things about Luca Moretti that didn't match the dangerous image. He played piano. I discovered this at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. I'd gotten up for water and heard music drifting from somewhere in the penthouse. Following the sound, I found a room I hadn't noticed before, a study with built-in bookshelves and a black grand piano by the window. Luca sat at the keys, still dressed despite the hour, playing something melancholy and beautiful. His eyes were closed, his fingers moving with practiced grace. I must have made a sound because he stopped abruptly, turning to find me in the doorway. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't mean to interrupt. You didn't. He gestured to the bench beside him. Can't sleep? Not really. I crossed the room, hesitating before sitting down. I didn't know you played. My mother taught me, before she died. His fingers touched the keys again, playing a soft chord. I play when I need to think. What are you thinking about? How to keep you safe? He glanced at me. How to make this less miserable for you? It's not miserable, I admitted. That's almost worse. This place is beautiful. The food is amazing. I have everything I could want except freedom. And your brother? And Danny. I pulled my knees up, wrapping my arms around them. He asked me today when I'm coming to visit. I didn't know what to tell him. Luca was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Marco, tomorrow morning. I want a secure route to St. Mary's. Full detail. We're taking Emma to see her brother. My head snapped up. What? He ended the call. You're right. You shouldn't be separated from Danny. We'll make it work. But you said it wasn't safe. I'll make it safe. He turned to face me fully. I have enough men, enough resources. If you need to see him, then you will. The casual display of power should have frightened me. Instead, I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You'll have bodyguards. Specific routes. Limited time. It's not freedom, Emma. It's enough. I reached out and touched his hand on the piano keys. It's more than enough. His fingers turned, interlacing with mine. The touch was electric, sending warmth up my arm. We sat like that for a moment, hands joined, the city lights spreading below us. Play something for me, I said softly. He did. Something Italian and achingly beautiful. And I sat beside him in the darkness, watching his profile, feeling the vibration of the music through the bench we shared. When the last note faded, he didn't let go of my hand. I'm not a good man, Emma, he said quietly. I've done things that would horrify you. Made choices that cost lives. I operate in a world where trust is currency and betrayal means death. Why are you telling me this? Because you should know what you're getting close to. He looked at me then, his dark eyes intense. I feel you softening toward me. I see it. And I won't lie to you about what I am. I already know what you are. Do you? His thumb traced circles on my palm. Do you know that I've killed people, Emma? That I'll kill again if it means protecting what's mine? That the threats against you won't be the last, because there will always be someone trying to find my weakness. My heart pounded, and I'm a weakness. You're everything. The words were raw, honest. Which makes you the most dangerous thing in my life. I should have pulled away. Should have been terrified. Instead, I leaned closer. Then why keep me here? Because I'm selfish. His free hand came up to cut my face. Because the thought of you out there, unprotected, makes me insane. Because I've spent 3 days watching you read in my library, cook in my kitchen, curl up on my couch, and I can't imagine this place without you anymore. Luca, tell me to stop. His forehead dropped to rest against mine. Tell me this is just about protection and I'll believe you. Tell me you feel nothing and I'll keep my distance. But I couldn't, because it would be a lie. Somewhere between the fear and the forced proximity and the unexpected gentleness, something had shifted. I'd started seeing past the danger to the man underneath, the one who played piano at 2 a.m., who rearranged his security details so I could see my brother, who looked at me like I was something precious he was terrified of breaking. I can't tell you that, I whispered. His breath hitched. Emma! A phone buzzed loudly, shattering the moment. Luca pulled back, checking the screen. His expression went cold and hard. What is it? I asked. Another message. He showed me the phone. It was a photograph of me and Luca taken through the penthouse windows. From a building across the street. The angle showed us at the piano, hands joined, foreheads together. Below the image, a text in Italian. Luca's jaw clenched as he read it. What does it say? I demanded. He looked at me, something fierce and protective blazing in his eyes. It says, "She's lovely. It will be a shame when we take her from you." Luca exploded into motion. Within minutes, the penthouse filled with his men, Marco, Vincent, others whose names I didn't know. They spoke in rapid Italian, voices tense, checking windows, scanning the buildings across the street with binoculars. I stood frozen by the piano, watching Luca transform. Gone was the man who'd played music for me at 2 a.m. In his place was someone cold and lethal, barking orders, coordinating a response to a threat I'd made real by being here. "Lock it down," he commanded. "I want every building within sight distance checked. Find out who took that photo and bring them to me. Alive. The way he said alive made my blood run cold. Marco approached with curtains, heavy blackout material. We need to cover the windows until we secure the perimeter. Do it. Luca turned to me. Emma, go to your room. Stay away from windows, Luca. Now. Not a request. A command from a man used to absolute obedience. Something in me snapped. No. Every person in the room froze. Luca's eyes narrowed dangerously. Excuse me. I crossed to him, anger overriding fear. You don't get to kiss my forehead and hold my hand and then treat me like a child to be ordered around. I'm not one of your soldiers, Luca. I'm trying to protect you. By locking me away? By making decisions without me? I gestured at the men covering windows, the weapons I could now see holstered under their jackets. This is my life on the line. I deserve to be part of these conversations. His jaw clenched. You want to be part of this? Fine. The people threatening you are the Zanetti family. Competitors who think taking you out will destabilize my operation. They're not playing games, Emma. That photograph means they have a sniper position on this building. One clean shot through these windows and you're dead. The bluntness should have terrified me. Instead, I stood my ground. Then tell me what you're doing about it. Stop shutting me out. Something flickered in his expression, surprise, maybe even respect. He turned to his men. Give us the room. They filed out without question, Marco pulling the door closed behind them, leaving us alone in the sudden quiet. You want the truth? Luca said, his voice low and dangerous. The truth is I'm scared out of my mind. I've been in this business 15 years. I've survived assassination attempts, betrayals, wars with other families, and I've never been afraid. Not like this, Luca. But you, he continued, stepping closer, you walk into my life and suddenly I have something to lose that isn't power or money or territory. I have something that actually matters. And these bastards know it. They've been watching us, Emma, documenting every moment, and they're going to use you to hurt me. So what do? His laugh was bitter. There is no we. I handle this. You stay safe. That's not good enough. My voice rose. You can't keep me in a cage and expect me to just accept it. I'm not helpless, Luca. I'm not some fragile thing that breaks at the first sign of danger. I never said you were fragile. Then stop treating me like I am. I pushed at his chest, frustration boiling over. Stop making decisions for me. Stop acting like you're the only one who gets a say in this. He caught my wrists, holding them against his chest. I could feel his heartbeat, racing as fast as mine. You want to say? His voice was rough. Fine. Here's the situation. I can neutralize the Zanettis, but it will take time. Days, maybe a week. Until then you're a target, which means you stay here protected, locked down. Or what? Or I send you away. Somewhere they can't find you. Somewhere safe and far from me. The thought of leaving made my chest ache. Is that what you want? What I want? He pulled me closer, his grip tightening on my wrists. I want you safe. I want you happy. I want you to look at me without fear. I want... He stopped, jaw clenched, fighting something internal. Say it, I whispered. I want you. The confession came out raw and honest. I want you in ways that are selfish and possessive and probably wrong. I want to keep you here not because it's safe, but because I can't stand the thought of you leaving. I want to fall asleep knowing you're in the next room and wake up to you in my kitchen and spend my days finding ways to make you smile. My breath caught. Luca, tell me to stop. His forehead dropped to mine, mirroring our position at the piano. Tell me this is just about protection and nothing else. Tell me you don't feel this too. I should have lied, created distance, protected us both. But I was so tired of being sensible. I can't, I breathed. I can't tell you that. He made a sound low in his throat, relief and hunger and surrender all at once. Emma, stop talking, I said, and pulled him down to me. The kiss was inevitable, like gravity, like breathing. His lips captured mine with desperate intensity, one hand releasing my wrist to tangle in my hair, angling my head for deeper access. I gasped against his mouth, and he swallowed the sound, kissing me like I was air, and he'd been drowning. Every warning bell in my head went silent. There was only this, his mouth on mine, his hand in my hair. His body pressed against me like he was trying to get closer than physically possible. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. Mine, he whispered. Say it. Say you're mine. I should have protested. Should have reminded him I wasn't property to be claimed. Instead, I heard myself whisper back, yours. But Lucia, mine too. His eyes darkened with something fierce and possessive. Always, tesoro. Always. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. We both froze. I pulled it out with shaking hands. Unknown number. A text message with a video attachment. Don't open it, Luca said sharply. But I already had. The video showed Danny, in his hospital room, asleep, and standing beside his bed, just out of frame of the security cameras, was a figure in dark clothes. Below the video, a message. Beautiful boy. Does he know his sister's selfishness will cost him everything? Couldn't breathe. Danny. They'd gotten to Danny. The phone slipped from my fingers. Luca caught it, his face going deadly calm as he watched the video. That terrifying calm that meant violence was coming. Marco, he shouted. The door burst open. Marco took one look at Luca's expression and pulled out his phone. The hospital, now, full lockdown on the brothers' room. I want every person on that floor identified and detained. Lucas's voice was ice. And find out how someone got past our security. On it. Marco disappeared. I stood frozen, my mind replaying the video, the figure standing over Danny, how close they'd been, how easy it would have been to Emma. Lucas's hands gripped my shoulders. Look at me, I couldn't. All I could see was Danny, vulnerable and asleep, with a threat looming over him. Emma, firmer now. He turned my face to his. Danny is alive. That video was a threat, not an action. They want us scared, not him dead. Not yet, my voice cracked. Not yet? They were in his room, Luca, standing over him while he slept. And my men are there now. I'm sending more. 12 of my best. They won't get close to him again. You said he was protected. You said he was safe. He was. They got past my security, which means someone on my payroll is dirty. His jaw clenched. I'll find them, and I'll make them pay. The casual promise of violence should have horrified me. Instead, I felt something dark and vicious rise in my chest. Good, I whispered. Luca's eyes widened slightly. Emma, they threatened my brother, a sick 12-year-old boy. Tears burned down my cheeks. So yes, make them pay. Make them regret ever touching this. He pulled me against his chest, one hand cradling the back of my head. I will, I promise you. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Could I? Trust a man who operated outside the law, who killed without hesitation, who'd pulled me into this nightmare. But he was also the man who'd dropped everything to protect me, who'd rearranged his world so I could see Danny, who kissed me like I was precious and looked at me like I mattered. Yes, I said against his chest. I trust you. His arms tightened around me. Then let me work. Let me handle this my way. What does that mean? He pulled back enough to meet my eyes. It means I'm going to war, Emma. The Zanettis crossed a line. They threatened a child under my protection. In my world, there's only one response to that. You're going to kill them. Yes. No hesitation. No apology. All of them. I should have been horrified. Should have pulled away from this man who spoke of mass murder like it was inevitable. But all I felt was cold fury and the desperate need to keep Danny safe. How long, I asked. 48 hours. Maybe less. He cupped my face. But you need to understand what this means. What I am. I'm not a good man, Emma. I've killed before. I'll kill again. The things I'm about to do will keep my brother alive, I finished. Will end this threat. Will make us safe. At a cost. What cost? His thumb traced my cheekbone. You'll know what I'm capable of. You'll see the monster, not just the man. And you might not be able to look at me the same way after. I thought about Danny's face in that video. About the figure standing over him. about every moment of fear I'd lived through since finding that first photograph. "Do what you have to do," I said. "I'll deal with the rest." Something blazed in his eyes, relief and darkness and desperate gratitude. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, finally my mouth. Gentle this time, almost reverent. "Stay here," he murmured against my lips. "Don't leave the penthouse. Don't go near windows. Promise me." "I promise. I'll have food sent up, entertainment, whatever you need. Marco will be outside your door." "Luca," I grabbed his jacket as he started to pull away. "Come back to me." His smile was dangerous and beautiful. "Always, Tesoro. Always." Then he was gone, the door closing behind him with quiet finality. I sank onto the piano bench, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. Through the covered windows I could hear the city continuing below. Normal life for normal people. But I wasn't normal anymore. I was in love with a killer, and I'd just given him permission to go to war. Hours passed, then more hours. Marco brought food I couldn't eat. Vincent checked the security systems. Other men came and went, speaking in low voices, their expressions grim. No one would tell me what was happening. At midnight, I gave up trying to sleep and went to the study. To the piano where Luca had played for me, where we'd kissed for the first time. I sat on the bench and tried to remember the melody he'd played. My fingers found a few notes, discordant and wrong. "You need lessons." I spun around. Luca stood in the doorway, his white shirt spattered with something dark. Blood. His face was hard. Carved from stone, his eyes empty in a way that made my stomach drop. "Is it done?" I asked. "It's done. Danny?" "Safe." I moved him to a private facility. 3 guards on his room, 2 on his floor, cameras everywhere. The Zanettis will never touch him. And them. Dead. All of them. He said it without emotion. Like reporting the weather. The ones who threatened you. The ones who got into the hospital. The ones who gave the orders. All dead. I should have felt sick. Should have been horrified by the casual admission of mass murder. Instead, I felt safe. I crossed to him, stopping just close enough to see the blood on his collar, the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of what he'd done settling on his shoulders. "Are you okay?" I asked softly. He laughed, bitter and broken. "I just killed 9 people. I'm covered in blood. And you're asking if I'm okay?" "Yes. Why?" His voice cracked. "Why aren't you running? Why aren't you terrified?" I reached up and touched his face, forcing him to meet my eyes. "Because you did it for me. For Danny. Because you're a monster when you need to be, but you're my monster." Something in him broke. He pulled me against him, burying his face in my hair, his body shaking with silent sobs he'd probably never let anyone else see. I held him while the killer cried, while the man underneath the armor finally cracked. And I knew, standing there in his blood-stained embrace, that I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. I loved him, monster and all. "Ugh!" Luca showered while I sat on his bed, waiting. He emerged 20 minutes later, hair damp, wearing black sweatpants and nothing else. The blood was gone, but I could still see it in my mind. Could still see the emptiness in his eyes when he'd told me what he'd done. He stopped when he saw me, surprise flickering across his face. "You're still here. Where else would I be? Running? Most people would be running." I patted the bed beside me. "I'm not most people." He crossed to me slowly, like he was afraid I'd disappear. When he sat down, I took his hand, interlacing our fingers. "Tell me," I said quietly. "You don't want to know the details. I want to know what's weighing on you." He was quiet for a long moment, staring at our joined hands. "It wasn't just the Zanettis," he finally said. "There was someone inside my organization, feeding them information, helping them get to you. To Danny." My stomach dropped. "Who?" "My cousin, Nico." The name came out bitter. He believed he should have inherited the family business when my father died. Instead, it went to me. He's been bitter for years, but I never thought He stopped, jaw clenched. I never thought he'd betray me like this. What did you do? What I had to do. His voice was hollow. In my world, betrayal has only one punishment, especially betrayal that endangers family. You killed him. Yes. He looked at me then, searching my face for judgment. He stood in my father's study, the place where we played as children, and admitted everything. Said you were my weakness, that destroying you would destroy me, that I had become soft, unfit to lead. Luca, he was right. His free hand came up to cup my face. You are my weakness. Every decision I make now is filtered through keeping you safe. That's dangerous in my world. It makes me vulnerable. Then maybe your world needs to change. He smiled sadly. It doesn't work that way, Tesoro. This is what I am. What I'll always be. I turned, shifting so I could face him fully. What if I don't need you to change? What if I accept you exactly as you are? You say that now. But Emma, I killed my own cousin tonight. Shot him myself. Watched the life leave his eyes. That's who you're saying you accept. I know. Do you? His grip on my face tightened slightly. Do you know what that means? The blood that's on my hands. The things I've done, the things I'll do again. I thought about Danny safe in his new facility. About the photograph that had started all this. About the video of a threat standing over my sleeping brother. I know that you protected us, I said firmly. I know that you could have sent me away, kept yourself safe, but you didn't. I know that you're brutal and dangerous and probably going to hell, but you're also the man who plays piano at 2 a.m. and makes sure there are art books by my bed and holds me like I'm something precious. You are precious. His voice cracked. You're everything, Emma. That's the problem. That's not a problem. That's the answer. I leaned forward, pressing my forehead to his. I love you, Luca. Monster and man. All of it. He went completely still. What did you say? I love you. The words came easier the second time. I know it's insane. I know it's too fast. I know I should be terrified. But I've spent the last 12 hours wondering if you were coming back, if you were safe, if this was the night you didn't survive. And I realized I can't lose you. I won't. Emma, his voice was raw with emotion. So yes, I know what you are. I know what you've done. And I'm choosing you anyway. He kissed me then, desperate and claiming and full of everything he couldn't say. I kissed him back, pouring 3 weeks of tension and fear and reluctant desire into it. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Ti amo, he whispered in Italian. I love you. God help me. I love you more than anything. Then ask me, I said softly. Ask you what? Ask me what you've been wanting to ask since you brought me here. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Emma-chan, move in with me. Really move in. Not as my prisoner or someone I'm protecting. As mine. As my partner. As the woman I love. Yes. I kissed him again. Yes to all of it. He pulled me into his lap, holding me like he'd never let go. And for the first time since this started, I felt completely safe. We fell asleep tangled together, his heartbeat steady under my ear, his arms wrapped around me like armor. I woke to sunlight streaming through windows that were no longer covered. Luca was already awake, propped on one elbow, watching me sleep. Creepy, I murmured, smiling. Beautiful, he corrected, brushing hair from my face. How do you feel? Safe? Happy? Probably insane, he laughed, the sound lighter than I'd ever heard. Definitely insane. But you're mine, so I'll allow it. Generous of you. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. He glanced at it, and his expression shifted. Not to the cold killer from last night, but to something thoughtful. What is it? I asked. Danny's awake. The doctors say he's asking for you. He met my eyes. Want to go see your brother? No restrictions this time. We'll take my car, just us and security. Tears pricked my eyes. Really? Really? The threat is over, Emma. You're free. You can go back to your apartment, your jobs, your life. He paused. Or you can stay here. With me. Build something new. I didn't hesitate. I'm staying. But I want to see Danny. I want to tell him myself. Then let's go tell him together. As we got ready, Luca's phone rang again. He answered, his expression darkening as he listened. What? He said sharply. When? My stomach dropped. What's wrong? He hung up and turned to me, his face grim. There's a problem. Nico had a partner, someone else inside my organization. And they just moved against me. Who? I don't know yet. But they've called a meeting. The families. They're challenging my leadership. He pulled me close. This isn't over, Emma. I'm sorry. But this isn't over. The meeting was in 2 hours. Luca's penthouse became a war room. Men in suits filled the space, speaking intense Italian, checking weapons, reviewing security protocols. Marco handed Luca a file thick with documents, evidence, photographs, financial records. I stood by the window, watching the organized chaos, feeling utterly useless. Emma. Luca appeared beside me, his hand finding the small of my back. I need you to stay here. Marco and Vincent will remain with you. Full security detail. You're going alone? I'm taking 20 men. But yes, I have to go personally. If I don't show, they'll see it as weakness. His jaw tightened. Someone is making a play for my position, using Nico's betrayal as proof I'm compromised. I need to shut this down before it becomes a war. Who is it? I have suspicions. But I won't know until I'm in that room. He turned me to face him. This could get dangerous. If something goes wrong, don't. I pressed my fingers to his lips. Don't say goodbye like you're not coming back. I'm being realistic. Well, stop. I grabbed his jacket, pulling him closer. You don't get to make me fall in love with you and then die at some meeting. That's not how this works. Despite everything, he smiled. Is that an order, Tesoro? Yes. Come back to me, Luca. Whatever it takes. He kissed me, deep and claiming, like he was memorizing the taste of my mouth. When he pulled back, his eyes were fierce. I will. I promise. Then he was gone, taking most of his men with him. Marco locked the door behind them. Miss Chun, please stay away from windows. Just as a precaution. I nodded, but my mind was already spinning. Luca was walking into a trap, I could feel it. Someone had orchestrated this perfectly. Used Nico's betrayal, the threat against me, everything to destabilize Luca's position. And now he was walking into a room full of potential enemies. I paced the penthouse, my phone clutched in my hand. I'd promised to stay put, promised to let him handle this. But what if he needed help? An hour passed, then 90 minutes. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Emma Chun, a woman's voice, heavily accented. Who is this? Someone who wants to help Luca Moretti. The meeting he's attending, it's a setup. They're planning to kill him the moment he enters the building. My blood went cold. Who are you? That doesn't matter. What matters is that someone inside his organization has been feeding information to his enemies for months. Not just Nico. Someone higher up. Someone he trusts completely. Why are you telling me this? Because I loved his father. And I won't watch his son die in an ambush. She paused. The meeting location was changed at the last minute. They're taking him to the old warehouse district, Pier 47. Does he know? I ran to Marco. The meeting location, where is it? The Carlisle Hotel downtown. Why? My stomach dropped. They changed it. Someone's taking him to Pier 47 instead. Marco's face went white. He immediately pulled out his phone, calling Luca. No answer. He tried again. Nothing. They're jamming his signal, Marco said grimly. Fuck. We need to move. Now. I'm coming with you, I said. Miss Chun, he's walking into a trap because of me. Because I made him vulnerable. I'm not staying here while he dies. My voice was steel. I'm coming! Don't waste time arguing. Marco looked at Vincent, who nodded once. Let's move. The warehouse district was exactly what it sounded like. Abandoned buildings, rusted metal, broken windows. The perfect place for an ambush. We pulled up 2 blocks away, parking behind a shipping container. Through the darkness, I could see Luca's SUV parked outside a decrepit warehouse. The building had lights on inside, and I could see shadows moving. "How many men did he take?" I asked. 20, Marco said. "But if they're expecting him, they'll have 50, maybe more. So what do? We call for backup. Get our people here." He was already on the phone, speaking rapidly in Italian, but backup would take time. Time Luca might not have. I looked at the warehouse, at the trap waiting for the man I loved, and I made a decision. Before Marco could stop me, I opened the car door and ran. "Emma!" Marco's shout echoed behind me, but I was already moving. I had no weapons, no training, no plan, but I had the element of surprise. I burst through the warehouse door, my voice echoing in the cavernous space. "Luca!" Everything froze. Luca stood in the center of the warehouse, surrounded by armed men. Not his men, I could tell by the way they held their weapons, pointed at him from all sides. He was trapped, outnumbered, seconds from death. And then his eyes found mine. Horror and fury flashed across his face. Oh no. A man I didn't recognize, older, silver-haired, expensive suit, turned to look at me. His smile was cold. The weakness arrives right on schedule. "Let him go," I said, my voice shaking but determined. "Whatever this is, I'm the one you really want, right? His vulnerability? Well, here I am. Let him go and you can have me." "Emma, shut up," Luca snarled. "Marco, get her out of here." But Marco had followed me in, along with Vincent and the 2 other guards who'd stayed with us. 4 men against 50. The silver-haired man laughed. How touching. The girl sacrificing herself. "But you misunderstand, my dear. We don't want you. We want him broken. And killing you in front of him will do that nicely." He raised his gun, pointing it at my chest. Luca moved faster than I'd ever seen anyone move, pulling his own weapon. But he was surrounded. Outnumbered, a gunshot cracked through the warehouse. I waited for pain. For blood. Instead, the silver-haired man dropped, a red stain blooming on his forehead. And through the warehouse door poured men in tactical gear, dozens of them. Luca's backup, arriving like an army. What followed was chaos. Gunfire, shouting, bodies dropping. Luca's men moved with brutal efficiency, taking down the ambushers one by one. Marco grabbed me, pulling me behind a shipping crate as bullets flew. And through it all, I watched Luca. Watched him fight like the dangerous man he was. Watched him protect his people, eliminate threats, take back control. When the gunfire finally stopped, when the last enemy hit the ground, when silence fell over the warehouse, Luca found me. He crossed the space in 3 strides, grabbed my face in both hands, and kissed me hard enough to bruise. Then he pulled back and snarled, "What the hell were you thinking?" "Saving you," I said breathlessly. "Saving me. You almost got yourself killed." "So did you. You walked into a trap." We glared at each other, both furious, both terrified, both alive. And then we were kissing again, desperate and relieved and full of everything we couldn't say. "Don't ever do that again," he murmured against my lips. "Then don't walk into ambushes. Deal." 3 months later. I woke up in Luca's bed, a bed with sunlight streaming through uncovered windows. The threat was over. Really over this time. The silver-haired man had been Antonio Russo, Luca's former underboss, who had been planning his coup for over a year. With him and Nico dead, the challenges to Luca's leadership had evaporated. The other families had fallen in line. Peace, fragile but real, had settled over his world. And I'd built a life in the middle of it. I stretched, reaching for Luca, but his side of the bed was empty. Following the smell of coffee, I found him in the kitchen, making breakfast in sweatpants, and nothing else, his hair adorably messy. "Morning," I said, sliding my arms around him from behind. He turned, kissing the top of my head. "Morning, tesoro. Sleep well? Always do when you're there." I grabbed the coffee he'd already poured for me. "What's the occasion?" "Can't I make breakfast for my girlfriend without an occasion?" You can, but you usually have meetings on Tuesday mornings. Cancelled them. He flipped a pancake with practiced ease. I wanted today for us. Something in his tone made my heart skip. Luca, sit, eat, then we'll talk. Over breakfast, perfect pancakes with fresh berries and real maple syrup, he told me about his plans to expand the legitimate side of his business. Real estate development. Import companies that actually imported legal goods. A foundation for children's cancer research in Danny's name. You're going straight, I said, surprised. Straighter, he corrected. I'll never be completely legitimate, Emma, but I can be better, cleaner, safer. His hand found mine across the table. For you, for the life I want us to have, I never asked you to change. I know, but I want to. His thumb traced circles on my palm. I want to be someone you're proud of. Someone Danny can look up to without reservations. Danny, who'd been declared cancer-free 2 weeks ago. Who visited every weekend. Who'd started calling Luca by name instead of Mr. Moretti. Who'd asked if I was going to marry the cool guy with the bodyguards. I'm already proud of you, I said softly. Even knowing what I've done? Especially knowing that. I squeezed his hand. You protect the people you love. You're loyal. You keep your promises. The rest is just ... context. He stood, pulling me up with him. Come with me. I want to show you something. He led me to the terrace, the one that had been off limits during the threat, covered and secured. Now it was transformed. Plants in huge ceramic pots, string lights overhead, comfortable furniture, and in the corner something covered with a tarp. What is this? I asked. Luca pulled off the tarp. Underneath was a easel. Professional quality. And beside it, a complete set of oil paints, brushes, canvases. Everything I'd need to start painting again. You mentioned once that you used to paint, he said quietly, before Danny got sick, before you had to work 2 jobs. I thought maybe you'd want to try again. Tears burned in my eyes. Luca, there's more. He guided me back inside to a room I'd never been allowed to enter. When he opened the door, I gasped. It was a studio. North-facing windows for perfect light. More easels. A drafting table. Shelves for supplies. Everything an artist could dream of. I had it designed for you, he said. Your space, where you can create, study, work. Whatever you want. I turned to him, crying now. This is too much. It's not enough. He cupped my face, wiping away tears with his thumbs. You gave up your dreams for your brother. Let me give them back to you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll use it. Say you'll paint again. Say you'll fill this penthouse with your art, until there's no room left. He smiled. Say you'll stay. I'm not going anywhere. I pulled him down for a kiss. You're stuck with me, Moretti. Good. He kissed me again, deeper this time. Because I have one more thing to show you. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. My heart stopped. Emma Chun. He didn't kneel. Just held the box between us, his eyes locked on mine. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other 4 months. I know your life would be simpler without me in it, Luca, but I also know that I love you more than I thought possible. That I want to wake up next to you every morning for the rest of my life. That I want to watch you paint in your studio and visit Danny in college and build something real and lasting together. He opened the box. Inside was a ring. Not a diamond, a sapphire, deep blue, surrounded by smaller diamonds. Unique and unexpected and perfect. Marry me, he said simply. Be my wife, my partner, my everything. I should have thought about it. Should have considered the complications, the danger, the impossibility of loving a man like Luca Moretti. Instead, I said yes. His smile could have lit the entire city. He slipped the ring on my finger, perfect fit, of course, and kissed me like I was air, and he'd been drowning. When? I asked when we came up for breath. Whenever you want. Tomorrow next year. I don't care as long as it happens. Soon, I decided. I want to be yours officially. Want the world to know. The world already knows, Tesoro. It's been mine since the moment you grabbed that pickpocket's wrist. He lifted my hand, kissing the ring. This just makes it legal. We spent the rest of the day planning. Not a big wedding. Neither of us wanted that. Something small, intimate, just the people who mattered. Danny would be the ring bearer. Marco would stand up with Luca. My best friend Rachel, who'd been cautiously supportive of my relationship with a mysterious businessman, would be my maid of honor. As the sun set, Luca and I sat on the terrace, his arm around me, my head on his shoulder. Happy? He murmured. I looked at the ring on my finger, at the studio waiting for me, at the life we were building together. Deliriously, I said, "Good." He kissed my temple. "Because this is just the beginning. Emma, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making you happy. That's a big promise. I keep my promises. You should know that by now." I did. Despite everything, the danger, the violence, the impossibility, I trusted Luca Moretti completely. My phone buzzed. A text from Danny. "Rachel told me about the ring. Congrats. Does this mean I can call him my brother-in-law now?" I showed Luca, who laughed. "Tell him yes. Tell him he's getting a very cool brother-in-law with excellent bodyguards." As I typed the response, Luca's phone rang. He glanced at it, his expression shifting. "What?" I asked. "Business." Nothing urgent, but something in his tone made me look closer. "Luca, what is it?" He sighed. "There's a situation brewing. Nothing dangerous, just political. Some of the families are uncomfortable with how much I've pulled back from certain operations. They think I'm weak. My stomach dropped. Is this going to be a problem? Not if I handle it correctly." He pulled me closer. "Don't worry, Tessero, I've got this." But I did worry. Because in Luca's world, problems didn't stay small for long. The situation resolved itself 2 weeks before our wedding. Luca called a meeting of all the families. Not a negotiation, a declaration. He stood in front of men who'd questioned his leadership and laid out exactly how things would work going forward. He was pulling back from the illegal operations, yes, but he was also consolidating power in ways that made him untouchable. Legitimate businesses that generated more money than their criminal enterprises ever had. Political connections that protected everyone under his umbrella. A new structure that benefited all the families while keeping them aligned under his leadership. By the time he was done, no one questioned him anymore. He came home that night, pulled me into his arms and said, "It's done. Really done this time. We can move forward." And we did. Our wedding day dawned clear and perfect. We'd chosen the penthouse terrace, transformed into a garden with white flowers and string lights. Small and intimate, just like we wanted. 30 people, family and close friends only. I wore a simple dress ivory silk that fell to my ankles, elegant but understated. Nothing ostentatious. Just me. When I stepped onto the terrace and saw Luca waiting at the makeshift altar, my breath caught. He wore a black suit, perfectly tailored, his hair styled back. But it was his expression that undid me pure wonder. Like he couldn't believe I was real, Danny walked me down the makeshift aisle, beaming with pride. When we reached Luca, my brother placed my hand in his and whispered, "Take care of her." "Always," Luca promised. The ceremony was short. "Simple vows we'd written ourselves, Emma," Luca said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "You walked into my life and changed everything. You made me want to be better. You gave me a reason beyond power and control. You showed me what home feels like." He squeezed my hands. "I promise to protect you, cherish you, and love you with everything I am. For all the days of my life." My turn. I took a shaky breath. "Luca, you scared me at first. This dangerous man who'd turned my world upside down. But then I saw past the armor to the person underneath. The man who plays piano at 2 a.m., who builds art studios for the woman he loves, who would burn the world down to keep his people safe." Tears streamed down my face. "I promise to stand beside you, to be your partner in everything, to love you, monster and man, forever." The officiant pronounced us married. Luca kissed me like we were the only two people in the world. And for that moment, we were. The reception was perfect. Dancing under the string lights. Toasts that made us laugh and cry. Danny charming everyone with stories about how Luca had taught him chess. And Italian curse words. "You taught my 12-year-old brother to curse in Italian?" I asked, trying to sound stern. Luca grinned, unrepentant. He should know how to express himself properly. As the sun set, painting the city in shades of gold and rose, Luca pulled me away from the party to a quiet corner of the terrace. "Happy, Mrs. Moretti," he murmured. Mrs. Moretti. I'd taken his name without hesitation. Become part of his world officially. "Ridiculously happy," I said. "You?" "More than I ever thought possible." He turned me to face the city spreading below us. "Do you remember when you first came here? How afraid you were?" I remember thinking this was a gilded cage. "And now?" I leaned back against his chest, his arms wrapping around me. "Now it's home." "Your home." Good answer. He kissed my neck. "Because I have a surprise." "Another one?" "You've already given me everything." "Not everything." He pulled out his phone, showing me an email. I made some calls. "The position at the Met, the restoration specialist they were hiring?" "It's yours if you want it." I spun in his arms. "Luca, that's a competitive position." "I can't just... You can... Your credentials are impeccable. Your portfolio speaks for itself. I just made sure they saw your application." He cupped my face. "You earned this, Emma. I just opened the door." More tears. "Happy ones." "Thank you. Anything for you, Tesoro. Always." 6 months later, I stood in the studio Luca had built for me, working on a restoration project from the Met. Danny visited on weekends, healthy and thriving, talking about college applications. Luca ran his empire with strategic brilliance, gradually shifting more operations legitimate. We'd built something impossible, a life that balanced darkness and light, danger and domesticity, power and love, sometimes late at night. I'd wake up and find Luca watching me sleep. Creepy, I'd murmur, smiling. Beautiful, he'd correct, pulling me closer. And I'd fall back asleep in the arms of the dangerous man who'd become my everything. 1 year after that first photograph was slipped under my door, I stood on our terrace, watching the sun rise over the city. Luca joined me, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. Couldn't sleep? Just thinking. I leaned into him, about how a random act of kindness in a coffee shop led to all this. "Fate," he said simply. "You believe in fate?" "I believe in you." He turned me to face him. "I believe that some people are meant to find each other, that the universe conspires to bring together souls that fit." That's surprisingly romantic for a crime boss. "Former crime boss," he corrected with a grin. "I'm a legitimate businessman now, mostly." I laughed. "Keep telling yourself that." He kissed me as the sun painted us in golden light. And I knew, standing there in his arms with the city waking below us, that this was exactly where I was meant to be. Not in a cage, gilded or otherwise. In a partnership. A marriage. A love that had survived threats and violence and impossible odds. Emma Moretti. Wife of a dangerous man. Artist. Restorer of beautiful things and the happiest I'd ever been. Ti amo. Luca whispered against my lips. "Ti amo," I whispered back. "Forever."